Hey y'all, this is Tony, your black girl who reads, and welcome back to this podcast and YouTube channel. I want to welcome y'all back again. I'm still reading the Blue Castle. This is chapter number 3, and like I said, I cannot wait to get into this and of course finish this book because I want to know how Valancy is going to do, what's going to happen, how she's going to blow up things. I'm sure it's coming, so I definitely want to see y'all. Like I said, this is my first time reading this. This is an old a classic literature book. So like I said, I'm definitely reading this. It's supposed to be romance. I'm sure to see at some point it'll turn into a romance story, I'm sure. I cannot wait to finish reading this, y'all. So come join me. Come on, y'all. Make sure y'all get subscribed and all that kind of stuff to the YouTube channel, Tonetta Clay, and of course to the podcast here, The Black Girl Who Reads. Let's go ahead and get into this, y'all. Chapter number 3. I cannot wait. Chapter 3. Breakfast. She was, remember chapter 2, she was going down to breakfast. So breakfast was always the same. Oatmeal porridge, which Valancy loathed, tea and toast, and 1 teaspoon of marmalade. Miss Frederick thought 2 teaspoons extravagant, but that did not matter to Valancy, who hated marmalade too. The chilly, gloomy little dining room was chillier and gloomier than usual. The rain streamed down outside the window, departed sterlings in atrocious gilt frames wider than the pictures, glowered down from the walls. And yet Cousin Stickles wished Valancy many happy returns of the day. Sit up straight, Doss, was all her mother said. Valancy sat up straight. She talked to her mother and Cousin Stickles of the things they always talked about. She never wondered what would happen if she tried to talk of something else. She knew, therefore she never did. Miss Frederick was offended with Providence for sending a rainy day when she wanted to go to a picnic. So she ate her breakfast in a sulky silence, for which Valancy was rather grateful. But Christine Stickles whined endlessly on as usual, complaining about everything: the weather, the leak in the pantry, the price of oatmeal and butter. Valancy felt at once she had buttered her toast too lavishly. The epidemic of mumps in Deerwood. Doss will be sure to catch them, she foreboded. Doss must not go anywhere. She is likely to catch mumps, said Miss Frederick shortly. Valancy had never had mumps, or what we call for chicken pox or measles, or anything she should have had. Nothing but horrible colds every winter. And that's probably because the doggone mama didn't want to keep the heat on, or turn the heat on, while she killed her husband. This is interesting, y'all. Goodness. Doss' winter colds were a sort of tradition in the family. Nothing, it seemed, could prevent her from catching them. Miss Frederick and Cousin Stickles did their heroic best. One winter, they kept Valancy housed up from November to May in the warm sitting room. She was not even allowed to go to church, y'all. And Valancy took cold after cold, ending up with bronchitis in June. Oh, wow. None of my family were ever like that, said Miss Frederick, implying that it must be a Sterling tendency. The Sterlings seldom take cold, said Cousin Stickles, resentfully. She had been a Sterling. I think, said Miss Frederick, that if a person makes up her mind not to have colds, she will not have colds. So that was the trouble. It was all Valancy's own fault. But on this particular morning, Valancy's unbearable grievance was that she was called Doss. She had endured it for 29 years, and all at once she felt she could not endure it any longer. Her full name was Valancy Jane. Valancy Jane was rather terrible, but she liked Valancy, with its odd and outland tang. It was always a wonder to Valancy that the Sterlings had allowed her to be so christened. She had not been told that her maternal grandfather, old Amos Wansbera, had chosen the name for her. Her father had tacked on the Jane by way of civilizing it, and the whole connection got out of the difficulty by naming her Doss. She never got Valancy from anyone but outsiders. Mother, she said timidly, would you mind calling me Valancy after this? Doss seems so I don't like it. Miss Frederick looked at her daughter in astonishment. Like, what you say? I'm sure. Because she's never spoken up, and this is her first time, it sounds like. She wore glasses with enormously strong lenses that gave her eyes a peculiarity, disagreeable appearance. What is the matter with Doss? It seems so childish, faltered Valancy. Oh, Miss Frederick had been a Wansboro, and the Wansboro smile was not an asset. I see. Well, it should suit you then. You are childish enough in all consequence, my dear child. Oh, wow. I am 29, said the dear child desperately. I wouldn't proclaim it from the housetops if I was you, said Miss Frederick. 29? I had been married 9 years when I was 29. Oh, wow. I was married at 17, said Cousin Stickles proudly. Valancy looked at them furtively. Miss Frederick, except for those terrible glasses and the hooked nose that made her look more like a parrot than the parrot itself could look, was not ill-looking. At 29, she must have been quite pretty, but Cousin Stickles, and yet Christine Stickles, had once been desirable in some man's eyes. Valancy felt that Cousin Stickles, with her broad, flat, wrinkled face, a mole right on the end of her dumpy nose, bristling hairs on her chin, wrinkled yellow neck, pale protruding eyes, and thin puckered mouth, had yet this advantage over her, this right to look down on her. And even yet, Cousin Stickles was necessary to Miss Frederick. Valancy wondered pitifully what it would be like to be wanted by someone, needed by someone. No one in the whole world needed her or would miss anything from her life if she dropped suddenly out of it. She was a disappointment to her mother. No one loved her. She had never so much as had a girlfriend. I hadn't even a gift for friendship, she had once admitted to herself pitifully. Doss, you haven't eaten your crust, said Miss Frederick rebukingly. It rained all the forenoon without cessation. Valancy pieced a quilt. Valancy hated piecing quilts, and there was no need of it. The house was full of quilts. There were 3 big chests packed with quilts in the attic. Miss Frederick had been storing away quilts when Valancy was 17, and she kept on storing them. Oh, goodness. Though it did not seem likely that Valancy would never, ever need them. But Valancy must be at work, and fancy work materials were too expensive. Idleness was a cardinal sin in the Sterling household. When Valancy had been a child, she had been made to write down every night in a small, hated black notebook all the minutes she had spent in idleness that day. Oh, wow. On Sunday, her mother made her tote them up and pray over them. That's interesting, y'all. On this particular forenoon, on this day of destiny, Valancy spent only 10 minutes in idleness, at least. Miss Frederick and Cousin Stickles would have called it idleness. She went to her room to get a better thimble, and she opened Thistle Harvest guiltily at random. The woods are so human, wrote John Foster, that to know them, one must live with them, an occasional saunter through them, keeping to the well-trodden paths, will never admit us to their intimacy. If we wish to be friends, we must seek them out and win them by frequent, reverent visits at all hours, by morning, by noon, and by night, and at all seasons, in spring, in summer, in autumn, and winter. Otherwise, we can never really know them, and any pretense we may make to the contrary will never impose on them. They have their own effective way of keeping aliens at a distance and shutting their hearts to mere casual sightseers. It is of no use to seek the woods from any motive except sheer love of them. They will find us out at once and hide all their sweet old world secrets from us. But if they know we come to them because we love them, they will be very kind to us and give us such treasures and beauty and delight as are not bought or sold in any market. For the woods, when they give at all, they unstintedly and hold nothing back from the true worshippers. We must go to them lovingly, humbly, patiently, watchfully, and we shall learn what poignant loveliness lurks in the wild places and silent intervals, lying under starshine and sunset. What cadences of unearthly music are harped on aged pine boughs and crooned in corpses of fir. What delicate savors exhale from mosses and ferns in sunny corners or on damp brooklands. What dreams and myths and legends of an older time haunt them. Wow. Then the immortal heart of the woods will beat against our ears, and its subtle life will steal into our veins and make us its own forever. So that no matter where we go, how widely we may wander, we shall yet be drawn back to the forest into our most enduring kinship. Oh, I love that, y'all. I love that. She was reading a passage in a different book, but I love that. Oh, wow. Doss called her mother from the hall below. What are you doing all by yourself in that room? Valancy dropped something called thistle harvest like a hot coal and fled downstairs to her patches. But she felt the strange exhilaration of spirit that always came momentarily when she dipped into one of John Foster's books. And I wonder if I can find his books. I'll look, y'all. I'll look. Valancy did not know much about woods except the haunted groves of oak and pine around her blue castle. But she had always secretly hankered after them, and a Foster book about woods was the next best thing to woods themselves. At noon, it stopped raining, but the sun did not come out until 3. Then Valancy timidly said she thought she would go uptown. What do you want to go uptown for? Demanded her mother. I want to get a book from the library. You got a book from the library only last week. No, it was 4 weeks. 4 weeks? Nonsense. Really it was, Mother. You are mistaken. It cannot possibly have been more than 2 weeks. I dislike contradiction. I do not see what you want to get a book for anyhow. You waste too much time reading. Of course, what value is my time, said Valancy bitterly. Doss, don't speak to me in that tone. We need some tea, said Cousin Stickles. She might go and get that if she wants a walk, though the damp weather is bad for colds. They argued for a matter of 10 minutes longer, and finally Miss Frederick agreed, rather grudgingly, that Valancy might go. Y'all, this is getting deep so far. I'm like, oh my God, Valancy is standing up to her mother now, telling her what she wants to be called by, and that she wants to go get a book. I guess I put it that way. Very interesting, y'all. I'm liking this. I can see it blow up at some point. She wilding out or something going on. I don't know if that's coming, but I'm going to assume that it's coming at some point. I don't know. I haven't read the book before, but from the sounds of it, it sounds like that's going to be the case. I hope it's the case, because I hope she's standing up for herself. I always want the people to, of course, whoever it is, being dragged down, being spit on, that kind of thing, to, of course, win. I was that person once, so I definitely want to see them win, y'all. And then, of course, this book that she's talking about, I'm going to have to find this book, John Foster, Thistle Harvest. That sounds like an amazing book, actually. And when I was reading that, it reminds me that, like I always say in other videos, of the things I've said and done, that nature is my therapy. That is exactly what it reminded me of. So y'all, again, this is Tony, the Black Girl Who Reads. This is chapter number 3 of the Blue Castle. Like I said, please join me for the rest of these chapters. It is several different chapters. So like I said, definitely join me for the rest of these chapters. I look forward to seeing what's going to happen and how this story is going to unfold. And I hope you do too. So like I said, again, be sure to, of course, subscribe to the podcast, The Black Girl Who Reads. And then, of course, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you want to see me reading, my beautiful face reading. So make sure you subscribe to that too. And that's called Tonetta Clay. And I will put that information in the description of the video for you too. So y'all, with that, I'll see y'all in the next chapter. I'm enjoying this, y'all. As y'all can tell, I'm enjoying this. As y'all can tell, I cannot wait to see how this is going to unfold. Peace out, y'all. I'll see y'all in the next episode.